Hello, welcome to another episode of Talking Sports and Fitness with Zeke. I'm Zeke, also known as Mike Zielinski. My guest today is Kelly Garrity-Haldeman. Welcome, Kelly.
Thank you.
You have a remarkable story, and I'm not sure how your story evolved, so how you got to this point. That's why you're here. But 9 years ago, you didn't even run. You were a non-runner. You could run, but you were a non-runner, I mean competitive-wise. And you were in a horrific car accident that almost killed you, correct?
I was, yes, yep.
And were your injuries catastrophic, or?
I had some skull fractures in my head and some nerve damage, which I have, I can't really see too well out of my left eye. It's just cosmetically kind of placed. Broken toe, broken nose, things like that, so.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, you weren't a runner before this accident. What motivated you to suddenly become a runner?
I kind of, after the accident, I kind of started just feeling sorry for myself and the way I looked and didn't do much. And just one day I was like, you know, I'm alive, like, be thankful for that. And a friend of mine ran, and I just started small. After my first 5K, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm never running more than 3 miles, and then never running more than 6. And I really liked it, and for what it did for me, and I saw the great community and the potential it had to be something wonderful.
Well, it's exceeded that, if you can exceed wonderful. You have completed 3 of the Abbott World Marathon Majors. There's 6 of them.
Yes. Very
few people have completed all of them. I think 1,000 ever. And you've done 3 of 6. You're doing Tokyo next year. Mm-hmm. It's an amazing story, the metamorphosis. I know you just came back, you did the Berlin Marathon, and you exceeded your personal best where you did like 5 hours and 9 minutes.
Yeah, yeah.
That must, tell us a little bit about that, because I know you have some physical limitations still, right? That your running gait and peripheral vision.
A little bit, yeah. So I just really changed my training around, and I wanted to combine the good, you know, doing the good work that I do for charity with raising the money and such, and then also for myself, like work hard and prove to others anybody can do it, just takes work. So I worked all summer in this brutal heat. It was crazy, but it paid off. I got to Berlin, the weather was great, the sights were great, and I just got out there and gave it my all.
Is the finish line Brandenburg Gate?
It should be. You go through that, and I'm like emotional and crying.
Because that's where the Berlin Wall was.
Right. And I'm thinking, oh, this is so
remember.
great. And then there's a sign that says, keep going. It's like only 200 yards left, and that's where the point 2 comes in. But let me tell you. But yeah, just a beautiful, wonderful thing. And I thought about that too, like the people that do it for the people who couldn't get through those gates. That was very emotional to me. So my family fought in the war. And
yeah, so you've run the New York Marathon, Berlin. What was the other one?
Chicago.
Chicago. Oh yeah, that's a big one. And then you have 2 international events, Tokyo.
I have Tokyo and London left, and then I want to bring it home in Boston on American soil.
Now you're not an elite runner per se, although in my reference you are an elite runner. So you have to get sponsor exemptions or whatever to get in, or and how do you manage
charity?
That? Through charity.
Yeah. So I just I Am Able is one of my favorites.
Tell us a little bit about that, because this is I think part 2 of a very remarkable story you have, because your renaissance, your metamorphosis from being an accident victim to this fabulous runner, but the work you do for I'm Able, and also the friendship you have with a little boy. Tell us, first of all, I'm Able. They're Wyomissing-based, and they help people with mobility issues.
Right.
Tell us a little bit more about
So they were founded in 2007 by Chris Kaeg, who was a Marine. He lost the use of his legs, but he was very, very active. Loved running, loved working out.
I think he's a fitness instructor.
And now we do CrossFit. He owns the Core Fitness Gym. And he didn't want to give that up when he lost the use of his legs, so he created this. He uses adaptive equipment. So he created this foundation, and just anybody who, I mean, if you're born with a disability or something happens where you can't, use your own power to make your goals, they help get adaptive equipment for that. And that really that could have been me. I was like, I could have lost something where I would have needed something, and it's so expensive, and you don't realize it. But let me tell you, going to one of those events, you just watch these people, and they just don't give up. And that's little Ryan, who I've
tell us a little bit about Ryan. I believe he was 4 years old.
He was 4. Yeah.
He's old. What now? About 6.
He'll be 6 in January.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about Ryan.
He was born with spina bifida, So when I met him, he was walking with crutches. So he had needed, and he wanted to be active. He wanted to run. He always was active. His mom has videos of him and trying to do stuff as a little kid.
Oh,
so
God
always
bless him.
very determined.
Yeah.
And his parents are just wonderful too. And they've accommodated, they've tried to help him facilitate this. So he wanted a bike. Very expensive. I think the bike was like $3,000 to get everything custom fit, pedals, everything. So I met him and we got him this bike, and it's amazing. And he recently completed the duathlon. He did 15 miles.
Wow. Now, he trains with you occasionally in some of your short treks, right?
Yeah. He comes to his favorite restaurant where we actually met is PJ Wheelahan's.
Sports bar.
Sports bar, of course,
Yeah,
right? He's
yeah.
4, why not?
Yeah.
They've also been incredibly wonderful in the community. So they've given a lot of donation to I Am Able to help out with everything. So they do some sponsored runs there, and the owner comes out, and he rides his bike, we run. I mean, it's just great. Sometimes he's like, "Come on, speed it up."
How much have you think you've raised so far for your marathons for I Am Able?
I think maybe around 5,000 or so.
Wow.
So, yeah.
And do you have a goal for that? I know your running goal you've exceeded.
Yeah.
But do you have a monetary goal for that?
I do. I'd love to keep it. Now what I've done is I've just kept it open, and people can donate because I'm running, or they could donate because of Ryan, or I actually have a friend now in New Jersey who's going to run for them for the Philadelphia Marathon. So the story's getting out there and the word's spreading. So
Yeah.
I would love to break 100,000.
Yeah, and you fundraise throughout the year, just not when you're running, right?
Right. Yeah. So I've decided to just keep that open the whole time. So
How do you? What do you find more satisfying? The fact that you have accomplished 3 of these marathons with 3 more to go, or the charitable work you do?
when I'm running and things are going through my head, it's the charitable work. Like I always think of the people, like do it for this one, do it for that one, or somebody I saw, like I said, at that I Am Able duathlon, because somebody's maybe watching me thinking, wow, maybe I can do that. So
Yeah.
I try to do my best to inspire and help others who might be down on their luck.
When you're near the terminals of exhaustion in a marathon, and I know all you guys get that, does that give you added motivation knowing you're running for a greater cause?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So I always run in an I Am Able shirt, and I always have I put Ryan's name on my bib and a Bible verse. And when the going gets tough, I have that there, and I remember that. And there's lots of kids out there and adults and everybody who, like I said, if one person looks at me and says, "Well, I could do that now," it's worth every ounce of everything I've given it.
How do you have time? How do you find time to train? You have 2 jobs. One of them, a part-time job for Running Start, which is in West Reading for runners, not just runners, but it's a perfect part-time job for someone like you. What's your full-time job?
I'm a staffing coordinator at Gage Personnel.
Oh, really? So how do you find time to train?
Wake up early, go out, yeah, dark, hot,
Yeah.
whenever I can. So I always have stuff in my car for everything. People are like, "What the heck is this?" I'm like, "Well, that's if I need to go to work. That's if I need to run. That's if it's raining."
Do you find the fact that running probably gives you more energy, though?
That too, yeah. And I mean, like I said, it's hard sometimes, but I want to be an example for where there's a will, there's a way. Like I want people to say, like, don't say like, "Oh, she can do it because of this." It's like, "Oh, wow, she does it, so maybe I can do it."
Do you think you would ever become a runner if you hadn't had the accident?
No.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't probably be giving back and doing all the stuff that I'm doing.
So
right now.
it's an interesting involvement here. It's made you a better person in a lot of ways, and a more complete person, which you wouldn't have had if you didn't have the accident. I don't know.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'll try.
Yeah. Wow. So your goal, you did 5 hours and 9 minutes. What's your goal for Tokyo?
I'm going to try to break 5, especially since the weather's in my favor. It's going to be about 40 degrees there, which people are like, yikes. But
that's good for a
marathon. That's my ideal.
Yeah.
That's my kind of weather. So
what's the threshold where you don't have to get a sponsorship charitable exemption? Because your times are getting down there.
3:35.
Oh, wow. So that's your next goal?
Yes, I mean, I'd love to qualify for Boston. I
Yeah.
would love it. And I know a lot of people look at me and they're like, that's a lot of time. But you know what?
That is a lot of
So
time.
was getting up to run a marathon. So
Yeah.
I'm not going to say I'm not going to do it, but.
What was your first, when you did the first marathon you ran, which was in
New
Chicago,
York
right?
City.
Oh, New York City?
Yeah.
What was your time in that?
6 hours and 2 minutes.
All right, so you're making progress.
Getting there.
Of course, all courses a little bit different, right?
That's true too. In New York, they have to, you go over the bridges and it's during daylight savings time. So I actually started when it was light out and I stopped to finish when it was like dusk. So mentally it was just like exhausted.
Yeah.
So.
Hey, Kelly, you have a fantastic story. Congratulations on everything you've accomplished and your charitable work and from a personal standpoint, all the things you've done for yourself.
Thank you so much.
All right. Well, best of luck to you, and let us know how you do in Tokyo.
Thank you.
All
Really
right.
appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Okay, for now, this is Zeke saying goodbye. Don't forget to like us on Facebook and to subscribe to the People Chronicles channel on YouTube. Aloha.
These community stories are made possible in part by BCTV, Susie Ray Design, Queen City Family Restaurant, Lamar Advertising, Heidelberg Family Restaurant, Reading Air, Lions and Hole, Peanut Bar, and Kutztown University.